Hi, I am Trisha Lemon. I hope you're managing to keep up with my dreams, the dreams of feminine consciousness, to try and bring some of that into perspective for you if you've not been able to follow all of the dreams. These are the dreams that I've experienced over a 3-4 year period during my Kundalini awakening, which, if you want to know what one is, you're probably better to go and look that up in the internet rather than me spend several hours trying to explain what that means. And so these are the dreams, and what I would like to share, that there are other aspects of this spiritual awakening that are happening to me. So some of them are psychological, some of them are my day-to-day life and day-to-day living arrangements, and some of them are around the energetic changes that are going on within my body. The purpose of these dreams and why I'm sharing them is that maybe you're going through a spiritual awakening and you're really trying to wonder what's happening to you or where you are on that path or that journey of your own awakening. So I do hope that there's some little milestones that perhaps you can somehow get your head around, because it's not that easy. But anyway, here we go. So I've got 2 dreams for today, and the first dream is there's a man in the dream, and he's trying to talk to me. But in the dream, the man is wearing sunglasses, and I cannot see his actual eyes. Now, this dream, or this type of dream, I've had a few times, and I do have a few more in the future. And basically, it's a human face, but you can't see their eyes. And for me, my interpretation of this dream is that it is what you might either call a spirit guide, or I would call him the divine masculine, or my inner masculine, my spiritual masculine. Is not human, basically. Usually if you have dreams and there's human eyes in it, then that's a human being. But I did find over time I started to have these dreams where you couldn't actually see the person's eyes, whether that was a woman or a man. So I see those as being divine energies bringing themselves into the world through dreams. So my spirit guide, well, that's quite interesting, because we do hear a lot about spirit guides and messengers, and they do exist. And I found that over a period of time, those messengers become and are still very powerful in my psyche. I do get messages, I do hear the messages, I do listen to them, and I find I might be out running, I might be walking, I may just be having a little bit of quiet time, and I will receive a message. Or I might receive a message in a dream. It's not be sat there, giving me a script. It could just be one line or one little picture that will help me understand how or what or something I need to consider or do, or giving me some guidance. So yes, that there are spirit guides, and they do live within you. But they're not going to come and tell you how to go make £1 million worth of money. Spirit guide isn't about that. It's not going to tell you how to go and find your perfect man or your perfect partner. It's a spirit guide, and it's divine intelligence, and it's helping you bring that divinity into the world. So there'll be more of that as I go along, how that has started to unfold in my life. And this dream was probably, maybe if I would say from this moment in time, maybe more than a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. But if I fast forward to now, I could almost say that I get more and more messenger type information, which I use in my writing, or I use in bringing messages to the world or to a certain audience, and it does help shape and frame that, and I do have to listen to it and understand it. And so yes, it's still there, and it's still part of my day-to-day life. So that is dream 1, which is the spirit guides. So I'm going to jump in now to dream 2. Excuse me a minute, I need to get my glasses on because I can't see a thing without them. let's have a look. So dream 2 is the double-headed dog, and he's got really gnarly teeth, and actually it was quite a scary dream. Now in this dream, this is a Greek mythological symbol, which is quite interesting, and I've said this before, I do get a lot of Greek mythological symbols, and I've had a few Christian symbols, but I have found I have had quite a lot of Greek mythological symbols. Doesn't mean they belong to Greek, maybe they came somewhere before that, but anyway, this one is, they call, I think they pronounce it Cerberus, which is the big double-headed dog, and it is said that it guards Hades, and it's guarding the underworld, and it doesn't want to release the dead. Now that's quite profound, really. You kind of think, well, okay, what does that all really mean, not releasing the dead? Or what is he guarding? And obviously Greek mythology presents that mythology in that way, but I'm going to try and bring that into a much more perhaps modern interpretation. So Hades and the dog is guarding the subconscious, it's guarding parts of yourself, and I would say my understanding of this dream is this dog is guarding part of your patriarchal patterns, the patterns that live within you, or the anxieties that live within you, and the things that you attach, or the anxiety attaches itself to within your own mind. You're not the making of it, it's already there. And I've really tried to bring this into, well, how did that play out in my life? And I think when I've really tried to understand this, I have looked at this as a cultural thing. What is it that it's trying to guard from me? And it's a bit complicated, so you're going to have to stick with this. So we have in patriarchy, or if your fears or your ego is always trying to protect you, and it does protect you by eliciting fears within you, you know, say for example fears of starvation, fears of death, fears of being abandoned. And in many ways those fears keep you alive, so those fears are there for you, to protect you and to help you. But there's a point in your life where you have to let go of those fears. And so I see Cerberus as that dog as protecting those fears, because those fears need to be protected because they keep you alive. I mean, truly, if you were a fearless person, you'd probably just go and walk off a cliff or something along those lines, but you get the idea. So your fears there, or the patriarchal fears, are there to protect you. Now, one of the things that came up for me during my awakening and around this time, there was a strong energy, and it did relate to a town that I knew very well, and this town is a very northern, impoverished town, and whenever I went there I could always feel this really dark energy, and I tried to understand what that was. And I think the energy is around being poor, and there is a sense of shame in being poor, and in that sense of shame, or in that poverty, culturally, those working class, you could say, cultures will do a lot to keep you bound into that working class culture, because there would be safety in those numbers, in being part of that working class. Should you ever try and escape the working class, or escape that, well, you would come under a lot of pressure from your family and other people, like, you know, who do you think you are, or what makes you think that you're so special, and quite a lot of derogatory messages that try and keep you stuck in those patriarchal patterns. So one of those patterns could be, you know, for example, I do hear now as I've got older, people say to me, when I was a child I wanted to be an artist, or when I was a child I wanted to cook, or when I was a child I wanted to go and write stories. But my family would say, well, you need to put food on the table, and it's food on the table that counts, and you won't make money. You're not going to feed your kids by writing books, are you, or going off to art college. and painting pretty pictures. And I mean, who do you think you are? That's for rich people. So that's a kind of an example of where cultures try and hold you into a pattern of behaviour. And that's where I think that what the whole mythology is about the dog. It's about holding you back in that pattern and not letting that pattern go. And in a sense, it is trying to protect you. But at the same time, like I've said in other dreams, you have to take a leap into the abyss. And you have to know that at some point in your life, you're either going to keep holding of those fears, or you have to trust and let go of them. And somehow that has to happen psychologically, and somehow you have to get past that dog. That dog has to let those energies free, because those energies, they're tied in your body. They will hold in your body and hold into your psychology. And until those are released, you will not be able to tap into those other potentialities that you have within yourself, whatever that looks like. So that's Cerberus, the double-headed dog, bit of a scary animal. That's my interpretation of it in a much more modern, psychological, spiritual understanding. But the mythology is obviously still in my mind. It's still part of my psychology. And yeah, it was quite profound. And the actual release of that energy of what you might call a working class energy of poverty and shame around poverty and not having enough. There is a lot of shame in working class about poverty, which has been imposed on people. But it was releasing that, and it was releasing yourself to abundance. So I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully there are some aspects of those dreams that you could contemplate, particularly around the patterns of your own culture and how it tries to hold you back. Maybe take a look at that. You might learn something a bit deeper around some of your woundedness, so to speak. So leave it there for today. Thanks for listening.